I want to say something about why y'all look up the scripture we're going to talk about today is the base training that a child receives from a mother. Okay? We're not going to talk about the father's role, but we're going to talk about the mother's role. The father plays an intricate part in a family's life and in a child's life. But over years, as far as I can remember, it was mostly grandmother or mother who introduced the child to church.
That's who it was, the grandmother.
Fathers may not necessarily embrace the idea for whatever reason, but mother is the first nurse, the first teacher of every human being. And so the example that the mother gives to a child in relationship to church plays a long time role on the impression of that child. If the mother seems to have an interest that there's a God and she believes in it and she talks about it regularly, then whether that child goes to church or not, but hearing it come from the mother,
Come from his mother, like.
the child knows there's something greater than her. And so therefore, the base, what I was talking about, when you introduce a child to a religion, whatever you choose, you give that child the understanding that there's a force greater than itself that exists in the universe that guides you through life. And so any mother, shame on them if they don't introduce their child to God via religion, no matter what you call it. That's very important because as the scriptures say, you know, give them to them right at the beginning. They may stray, but then they'll come back. But if you didn't give them anything in the beginning to understand, then when they run into trouble, what do they call on? Because mama can't solve the problems that God can.
Grandmama.
Grandmother can't solve the problems that God can. And so now when you start telling this child to believe in something higher than itself, then it's going to rewind his mind and try to see what did mama count on when it was time of trouble. What kind of reaction did she have? Did she speak scripture? Meaning saying, baby, God gonna make a way or this or that? Or did she say something else? Because that's a long-term impression on the mind of the child. And so, not trying to get on the case of mothers, but you definitely should consider, even if you don't, because I know some mothers who didn't go to church,
Right.
but they sent their children to church.
Yes,
Right.
yes.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah. Church go, but I went. You sang in the choir and different things, but
Yeah.
it just.
Well, the grandmother typically took the kids to church growing up.
Yes.
Grandparents. Because I feel like you got a grandparent in the church, they should come pick the grandkids up.
Well, I mean, yes, that is true because they want
The mother don't go.
that seed to be introduced to what they know exists. Okay? And so I just want to say something about the base that you lay for a child.
Foundation, huh?
The foundation that you lay for a child. Regardless if a man takes the child to a church, the mother, she's still the first nurse and the first teacher. She has the most influence.
People need to, me and some of I didn't have no father. He said that don't make no difference.
Right. You probably had a grandmother or some mother.
Right. My father left when I was little and all this stuff, you know.
Right. So the thing is, those of us who were in the street, by the cry of our mother in the room praying or reading that scripture, even though we didn't go, we knew that it's something bigger than us. And when we did fall down in the streets and realized that we needed to call on something greater than ourselves, then we remembered Mama in the other room reading that book.
That's true.
So I just want to break that reality down. That, it is the responsibility of the mother to introduce that child to something greater than itself, even if it's showing them how to pray and showing them how to read scripture, because you can't just throw off scripture and say you can believe in God and you ain't got to read his word. There's scripture about that. And I read so much scripture from the various ideologies or schools of thoughts. But when you listen to the storyline, they all have some relevancy. So in one scripture was written, of course, a language that people may not understand because it's not the English language. The character in the story was called a bliss. And so the story goes where God told a bliss to submit. And a bliss said, well, why should I submit? I'm better than them. I don't have to go to no church. I don't have to read no Bible. And so a bliss was really Satan residing in the mind of the individual. That's scripture. And why is that written? It's written to understand the character of human beings in human flesh who resemble the character in the book. So when you have someone who constantly say, I don't have to go to church to show you I believe in God, I don't have to read that book to show you I believe in God, and I got more God in my pinky finger than all the people who go to church, then that person unfortunately is a bliss in scripture. Yes, that is, and God looked at them, you evil, wicked devil, I will curse you. And so that's how the story goes. I didn't write the book. I'm just telling you what the book said.